Hey everybody, you're listening to the new Pigtronix Infinity 2 Looper. This is Ted Drozdowski, Senior Editor at Premier Guitar here at 2020 NAMM in Anaheim, California. And we're here with David Kultai, who is he's the brain behind Supro. He's the mastermind. And David's going to show us a bunch of things today, but we're going to start with the Looper. We're going to talk about that, aren't we, David?
Well, I am the head pig, but I try not to be pig-headed. What we've done here is we've created a very interesting looping pedal called the Infinity 2. Infinity 2 is a double looper. It has two independent stereo loops, and they play in series, so it's like verse and chorus. And this pedal uses the same ultra low latency, high fidelity engine of the original Infinity pedal, so you have only 1 millisecond of total latency. And the philosophy behind the Infinity pedals, I like to call it the James Brown theory of looping. Everything's on the downbeat. Everything's on the down press. It's on the one. None of this wait to lift your foot off to cue things. No. Everything's right on the down press. And it's so fast that if you make your first loop accurately, you're good to go. The other unique paradigm here is that many of the actions occur at the loop boundary. So what I can do here is actually press to record loop 1, and then I can close loop 1 by opening loop 2, and then I can close loop 2 by going back to loop 1. Now I've got two separate parts, and then when I want to move between them, I just hit the switch, the light goes blinky, which means it's pending action, and then when it hits the loop boundary, it switches by itself. So since this is basically two single foot switch loopers, but it's better than having two single foot switch loopers on your board because the two loops are synchronized. They talk to each other. So you can focus on your playing and it goes back and forth between the loops for you. Now, there's a number of other interesting features and things we've worked into this pedal to allow you a number of different types of workflows. If you want to do two loops, verse, chorus, you got it. But the left foot switch can be reprogrammed or reassigned to do a whole bunch of other stuff. You could have it be a dedicated stop switch, where if you push it, it stops at the end of the loop. If you push it twice, it stops right away. And if you push it and hold it, it fades the loop from the point at which you have pushed down. I can also have a one-shot mode, where if I press it, it plays once. But if I repeatedly press it, it stutters. So ding, 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 right? And then if I push and hold, it plays through. I also have Octave Mode, which is changing the sample rate. So if you push quickly, it changes sample rate immediately, but if you push and hold, it will change the sample rate at the loop boundary, even if on your first recording. So you can be recording a loop, push and hold on the octave switch, which tells it when you close the loop to shift the sample rate down, or if you're already down, to switch it back up. We also have an undo redo mode, which allows me to put overdubs in, then take them away, then put them back. However, this unit has a dedicated loop decay knob. Now, when it's all the way up, it's like a standard looper, and you get unity gain as your loops come back around. But as you turn it down, it allows old material to fade away when you're overdubbing only. So when you're in the orange overdub state, the more you have this turned down, the quicker the old material will fade. And when you have it all the way down, it's only one pass through and it's gone. So it effectively actually allows you to use it like a delay because the old material's fading out and doing its thing. So you have a dedicated loop volume knob, you got your decay thing, stereo, in and out. You also have a remote switch, which allows you to access all the special effects without having to lose loop 2 foot switch. It also has a wet-dry routing mode. So if you boot it up while holding down the little switch, it will allow the two stereo inputs to be summed, and you get your clean guitar out of out 1 and loop audio only out of out 2. I call that Ed Sheeran mode because he always sends his loops elsewhere in the clean guitar. So it's Infinity 2 double looper. 5 minutes of looping time, 1 millisecond of latency, and a whole host of unique features that make this thing fun and easy to use for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and do some looping for you and show you a couple examples.
Sounds good.
When you have the remote switch, which has a stop function, you can, of course, push and hold to erase without having to hear yourself. But in this case, I'm just using the looper by itself, no remote, and I've got it in 2 loops mode. So what I'm going to do now is actually show you how I created what you heard at the beginning. I'm going to redo this part. This makes use of the push and hold on your initial recording to set up overdub the moment you close the first loop. Okay, so you'll see when I push and hold on the switch to open my loop, it's going to go blinky orange, which means pending overdub when I close the loop, which is great. If you know what you're going to play, then you can just kind of go straight into overdub. I will also show you in this example how you can delete the loop that's not playing. So if you can do verse, chorus, you can then delete what's not playing and make a bridge. Infinity 2, double looper.
Right.
Now let me show you one more really cool thing with it.
Okay, let it rip.
Now I'm gonna go, I've got my thing set to stop, so I can do the push and hold, and I can clear that loop so we don't have to hear it back. But now I'm gonna go into undo redo mode. All right, so push and hold, go to undo redo. We're gonna use the loop decay function now. All right, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a loop, and then as I overdub on the loop, it's gonna change, and then I'm gonna hit the undo button, and I'm gonna snap back to the original. You get the idea. I have one last example that you gotta hear. That's a sound on sound looping. So that was just using undo and loop decay to snap back to the original. All right, so there's just one last thing that I love to show people with this pedal, which is doing really short loops in a sound on sound method. This whole pedal, you can think of it like a digital tape machine, and it's very much in the spirit of Les Paul.
It seems very comfortable, very easy to use. It seems like you can get working on this really fast. It's very little learning curve.
If the original Infinity is the PhD, this is the children's book. It's just everything about it that was cool, we kept it in, and everything about it that was a little intense and complicated and highfalutin, we left it in the big one. So if there's something that you want the Infinity 2 to do that it doesn't do, buy the bigger one, because it does that. Okay, last thing. So you get the idea.
So David, how does the Infinity 2 power up?
The Infinity 2 runs on standard 9-volt power, under 100 mA current draw. This is an extremely pedal board friendly pedal.
Well, given that, does it also have a battery space, or is it just board?
That thing is so crammed with circuit boards, you couldn't even feed a piece of paper inside that chassis.
I had to ask, though, but I thought that was the case.
It's meant to run dead quiet. This thing is extremely low noise, so even if you want to run it in front of a gained up amp, you can still make it work.
Why don't you also tell us about the guitar you're playing and the amp we've been listening to as well?
So this is the Supro Conquistador Guitar. I designed this guitar with the help of Mr. Ford Thurston, amazing guitar player from Nashville. Well, he's actually from Pittsburgh, but he's a Nashville resident, and he's one of these cats that you meet when you go to NAMM and who makes you feel like you really got to go home and practice. Dude seriously knows how to play guitar. Anyway, he was working with us, playing some Supro guitars, and he kind of had this fantasy moment at the bar where, he wanted to take the Supro guitar shape that we had created and make it bigger, like a 335. So we took the dimensions of a 335 this direction, and with the Supro body shape, blew it out and gave it a 3-piece neck, a Bigsby B7, an Alnico 3 PAF in the bridge, a gold foil mini humbucker size clear tone pickup in the neck, Clusen style tuners, 24 3/4 inch scale, and complete mahogany construction everywhere, except for, of course, Pal Faro fretboard, 3-way blade switch, and Hofner teacup knobs. So this is the Conquistador model, and this thing is now in stock. We just got it. It's starting to ship. It's ready shipping, and it's $9.99.
And how much is the Infinity 2?
The Infinity 2 is $199. And that is also in stock and is actually shipping to dealers on Monday.
And why don't you tell us about the Blues King 10 as well, which is the new, and I guess the sort of final piece in the trinity of the Blues King line?
This is correct. I originally conceived a trio of Blues King amplifiers 4 years ago, and I was very careful to take our time on this one to make sure that we got it right, with a focus on getting authentic Supro sound at a much more affordable price point than the stuff that we've been making in the United States. So we initially started with the Blues King 10 up at 15 watts. The Blues King 12 up at 15 watts with a 12-inch speaker. In October, we had released the Blues King 8, which is an 8-inch speaker. It's only 1 watt. And now, in the middle, the Blues King 10. It's a 6V6 powered 5-watt tube amp. So you have a 12AX7 tube preamp, and you have a 6V6 powered Class A single-ended power section, and both of those elements are all tube and authentic to the original Supro design. This cabinetry and the power section, everything is totally based on a mid-50s Supro Comet, which is one of my favorite vintage amps. But in between the tube preamp and the tube power amp, we smushed a whole bunch of modern features. We got a 2-band EQ, we have an analog real spring reverb, and then there's also a couple pedals built into the amp. There's a booster, which is actually based on Pigtronix Class A boost. And new for the Blues King 10, there's an overdrive circuit built in that's actually a CMOS overdrive based on Pigtronix Fat Drive.
And how are those circuits activated?
Those circuits, there's a couple of toggle switches on top of the unit that you can switch it in and out, but there's also a jack on the back for a TRS foot switch you can purchase so that you can switch the overdrive and clean boost circuits in and out. When they're out, they're totally bypassed and you have a tube signal path. When you put them in, you have then a FET-based booster and this CMOS clipper. There's also a line out on the Blues King 10, so you can take all of that spring reverb, tube gain, CMOS gain, and the FET stuff and feed it to a larger amplifier or recording console. And what's really cool is the line out is actually before the master volume. So you can use this as like a tube distortion and reverb pedal that just happens to have a 10-inch speaker that you can adjust the volume of, and you can send that line out elsewhere. And it's $499. $499 for a Supro tube amp, and it's killing. It's loud enough to gig with, and I hope everybody loves it. It'll start shipping in about 3 weeks.
And what kind of 10-inch speaker do you have in there?
Totally proprietary. Everything about the Blues King series is proprietary. We created the speakers with Eminence. These are all based on design that we worked on with the goal of emulating the sound of the original field coil speakers. A field coil speaker was what they had before permanent magnets were available commercially. And you actually have to run current into a temporary magnet to get the thing to make sound. And it's a very unique tonality that these speakers had, and that's what was in all of the Supro and Valco made tube amps in the 50s and before that.
Well, David, thank you so much for being with us here today. It's good to see you again.
I love Premier Guitar. You guys have revolutionized guitar media and have played a huge role in our success. So I thank you so much. At Premier Guitar, Pigtronix.com, SuproUSA.com, the NAMM show. I love it. So thanks, Ted, and everybody. Discover the legend and go try out a Supro for yourself.
And for more from NAMM 2020, why don't you go to PremierGuitar.com, and while you're at it, think about signing up for our YouTube channel too, will you?